were four gamers that absolutely crushed the challenge, which was still really fun. And we're here to
Yeah.
discuss the mechanics of the Dota 2 boss battles mode.
Now we're here to critique the game. We are world first raiders of it. We're in fact the only impossible mode raiders of it.
Yes, we're
So
world
we have the best.
only impossible mode.
Yeah, we have the best opinions on everything, and we thought very hard about all of this.
Yes.
So we feel like we're pretty confident on our discoveries and opinions on everything.
How did we find out about the game?
Oh, that's funny you should mention that Symbol, because it's actually a great story. I was watching a Stripes stream and he was playing it, and I was like, I want to play this. And so I asked people if they wanted to play it, and then we did.
And I agreed.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
agreed.
So,
we,
okay,
wait,
who are we?
Yeah,
Who are
we
we?
should probably introduce ourselves. So that
Yeah,
we
I
can
am
know
going to
who's
introduce
speaking.
myself. I don't need you. Alright? I don't need you to introduce me. I
Alright,
can introduce
take
myself.
It away, then.
Alright, bake them away, toys. Yeah, I am Charlie, otherwise
Hi,
known as
Charlie.
Chewbacca on Steam or Hunter on Discord. I am an ex-World of Warcraft raid leader who started playing in Shadowlands, and I don't like the game, so I don't play it anymore.
Yeah.
I did a fair bit of raid leading, so I really like planning and shot calling and stuff like that. JD?
Yeah, I'm JD. I was a long time World of Warcraft player. Started playing again with Charlie when Shadowlands came out. It was pretty cool. Made a guild. Got 6 out of 10 mythic.
Alright, you don't need to
Playing 'cause
flex
the
about our
game sucks.
shitty World of Warcraft achievements.
Yeah.
If we'd flexed all this whole time, it's going to be like 2 hours long.
That's true. Alright, yeah, I'm done then. Sorry, I've got nothing to say but flex.
Alright, Symbol?
I'm Symbol. I've also done some raiding in World of Warcraft with these two other nerds. And I like difficult content, so I like to be challenged. So this boss battle mod was definitely up my alley.
And my name is Alec, and I have no experience of World of Warcraft raiding or any raiding of any sort. But I love playing any sort of boss fight in any video game I play very aggressively, min-maxing my damage whilst being just on the verge of getting killed by the boss. That's what gets me going.
Yeah, I felt
And
like
I
Cuba
think
would
I'm
be
pretty
really
good
into
at
this. Yeah, you're fucking amazing at it, so... Yeah, it was a good job I asked you. Yeah, and so when I found boss battles on Scripe Stream, I really liked it, because I was kind of fed up with the 20-man raiding style of World of Warcraft, with all the lockouts and gear and all that annoying bullshit and builds. And I kind of I wish there was some sort of small party size boss battle thing. And those 2 boss battles, exactly that. So I was very eager to get into it.
Yeah, like
Yeah, same.
most of the new games that like I'm thinking to play with other people sort of scare me away because they might have some knowledge of the characters that are within the game that I don't, and then it's a learning curve for me. But with this mode, with like such a small character pool, that are like all of them are unique and we're all sort of learning. I thought immediately that would be so fun to coordinate with each other different fights, whatever was thrown in our way.
Yeah, so why don't we get into the general pros and cons?
Yeah.
How we feel about
Let's talk
stuff then.
about how we like the game overall.
Alright, so pros. I think the control scheme is really good. I really like
I love
WSD to move, obviously. I know it's a Dota 2 game, but WSD to move I think is definitely really important. I like that the
it works
stuff...
perfectly for the game.
Yeah, definitely. I like that everything's based on skill shots. In terms of control scheme, that works really well. There's a couple of like targeted stuff, but it's mostly skill shot, like projectiles or AoEs. I like that a lot. And you guys have thoughts on that?
No, I really like the controls. Normally in I don't know, normally in a platforming game, for example, you would have some sort of fluidity to the movement, but the rigidness of your momentum not being carried forward when you stop moving is like really fits the game mode for me.
Yeah, I agree.
And moving forward,
Yeah, so I also really like the it's kind of a character design kind of thing, but I really like that all the characters have the same kind of base stats, the same HP, same move speed. There's no
hmm
tanky character
Yeah.
with more HP but slower move speed or something like that. They're all
Yeah.
the same baseline. So then it really comes down to just what their kit is. I like that a lot. It's all around the kit.
Yeah.
The
No
kit
tank.
defines the hero.
No tank especially is something that I really like. I don't think many games currently do tanking very well in a way where it's fun for everyone. A lot of the time the tank is just some dude that gets hit and they don't really do anything else. And then if they're suddenly like, and then like the challenge for tanks is to try and stay alive. And then if they don't do that, it just kills everyone. And it's really not... I don't find that very fun. So I like that they just completely got rid of the idea of the tank role. Everything is based around
I
And
what
liked
characters can do.
that you can swap the tank roll around. Like there is obviously tank roll,
Yes.
someone's getting hit, but like you can easily swap the aggro towards someone else, and I like that. But it did feel clunky at times to do so, if that makes sense. So like as much as I like that idea, I think that I would enjoy something more to it, to the tank swapping. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
not sure I
it
would
does.
entirely agree on that though, because I think how simple it is a big plus. I wouldn't like a taunting mechanic. I think taunting is really clunky in those things. There's only a couple of fights where swapping aggro kind of matters, and it can get a bit annoying sometimes. Like Beastmaster, this come more under
Yeah.
the boss discussion later. But some of the fights where tanking is a bit more important is really fun, but it can be a bit annoying sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. And it's not so much that I want a tank swap mechanic in the sense of like to taunt. It's just that because it seems to target the nearest person. The problem with that being is that comes sometimes down to like pixel measurements of like who's closer than the other one, and it's hard to tell how close I can get as a melee.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be awkward. I mean, that's the Beastmaster thing where we set Kuba to tank when Beastmaster powers up, and then I imagine it's pretty awkward for melee because you have to get close enough to hit him, but not so close that you steal aggro.
It's not really that. I don't think that's
But-
the bit that's difficult. I think it's when you're moving the boss at the same time, then it becomes almost impossible. Because if you're moving the boss,
yeah, that's a good
you
point.
have to get out of range of them so that they can actually move towards you.
Which
and
means
the
you're
other
making
melee-
someone else be closer.
Yeah, the other
Yeah,
melee needs to be a steps ahead of you so that they
Exactly.
don't steal aggro at the same time.
Yeah, I
so
see
when
what
you're
you mean
still,
now.
it's completely fine because like you just have Templar standing directly on the boss, and Blade Master just stands away from the boss, easy peasy. Not any issue there. It's when
Yeah.
you're moving the boss it gets a bit more annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't have
true.
any solutions offered for that, but maybe it's something that could be have a look into for the next raid.
Yeah, maybe like an aggro time or something. Like
I
they don't
don't
switch
want to.
for...
I don't
like-
know.
Yeah,
I think
don't
it's
know. I
tough to
can't
suggest
think-
something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't think of any good
Good
solutions.
suggestion.
Yeah, exactly. But
I don't think
just-
that's our job either. I think we just share how we feel about their mechanics, and
Yeah,
they'll
definitely.
Yeah.
look into it.
And going back to the original point of the simplicity of the stats of the characters and the well, not real necessity for a tank, except for a few fights, a few mechanics. I think it gives a whole lot of replayability of like messing around with different comps of like maybe 3 healers and a raid boss or
Yes, that's true. You're not
A
locked
bunch
into
of
having
arranged.
to have a tank.
Yeah,
You don't even really need anything beyond that one support. As long as you got a support,
Yeah.
anything else is just, what bits of kit do you need? Which I really like.
Yeah, I really like that as
Yeah.
well.
yeah, but that in a sense might be a disadvantage of the game, that you are locked, that you are forced to have at least one support. Well, unless you're playing on normal mode, which I think it's sort of doable without support.
Well, we'll get into
They
that in
make
a
something
second.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Next
Going back
point.
to the.
Most, unless you wanted to say something more, I wanted to move on.
I was gonna
Otherwise, we'll be
say.
here for fucking hours.
I was going to say back on the topic of comps that there's a lot of interesting buffs and things that a lot of the characters have really interesting pieces of their kit that make comp selection actually interesting. Like well, actually, this is the least interesting example, but Blade Master. He has a bunch of cool buffs and a barrier and stuff that you'd want. Or Templar has the link, so you can mana someone.
Yeah.
yeah, and that fits into your other points. Like most of the characters are very well designed, very unique, and very fun to play.
Yeah.
Except Narif, but that's coming
We'll
up.
we'll get into this stuff in a bit. I'd say I was going to say I really like the character design in general because I think that the design of them is pretty clear and the
Yes.
influences are very clear as well. I really like Templar, just being a PoE character.
Yeah.
Who's just
Yeah, it's got
discharge
power
power
charges,
charges. That's really cool to see in a boss battles type game though. And then
Yeah.
you got Akasha just being the Death Priest, that's cool. The Paladin. You got loads of really cool designs. I really like the way they work in the game. Because they're obviously not the most, some of them aren't the most original things ever, but the implementation is really good, I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah.
then I really like the healer role. I was the healer. I played Akasha, and I really like it. I think it was a really good idea to boil down a lot of what makes boss battles in these types of games fun. So removing the tank, getting rid of hard definitions of what these classes do, and just come down to what their kit is. But I really like that they kept in healer personally because I think it's really fun. I really enjoy healing in these kinds of games. And you're always kept on your toes, especially if people keep fucking up. And you have to panic heal everyone. It's great fun. I really like that though. So I'm really happy with the healer role personally.
Yeah, it does bring out that I guess the funnest aspect of being a healer, which is the stress healing. Which is you have to know when to react. You have to react very quickly to someone being very low, and it's very often because of the no tank.
Yeah, well, I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of nuance to it as well because if you're playing someone like Akasha, you can do good damage and you can do good heals and you can panic heal if you want.
Mhm.
So a lot of the time it can come down to, this person might be low, but maybe I can get away with just putting the mark on them and then damaging to heal them instead of panic healing them by spending all my mana. And if I know the fight well and I know that there's not a lot of damage coming in, I can get away with doing that and I can squeeze out more damage, and that feels really
Yeah.
good. So that's awesome.
Alright, should we move on to cons? Unless anyone else has
Yes.
got some pros. Alright.
Okay, so general
So
design cons.
just general design cons. Cast points on most of the spells don't feel too great.
They feel awful, in my opinion.
Standout one for me and Charlie probably as well is Rylo's Blink. Feels pretty bad to use because of the cast point.
I'd say there's an even more standout one. But yeah, I do agree with Rylo's Blink.
What's the
Rylo's
standout
Blink
one?
is really annoying because you want it to be instant and it takes ages to go off and it just feels awful and clunky.
Yeah.
But
and you
the
say
awful one,
Nosons.
the one that is awful is Nosons. It's a fucking AoE heal with a delay that
Yeah.
makes it so you can miss.
It's
On a hero-
incredibly easy to miss, but let's just get into that later for the Nosons thing. 'cause
Yeah, but
we
anyway,
could talk about that for ages.
a lot of the cast points don't feel good, so I'm not happy
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
most of those. To be honest, that no, they don't often make it feel better. They often just make the ability feel worse and more clunky. And I really like the immediacy of a lot of the other points of the game. Like
Yeah.
auto-attacking and most spells are really immediate, and moving is really immediate. I feel like it plays a lot better like that. It's not like World of Warcraft where you need to plan your movement around your casts and stuff. This is a game where you want to react, in my opinion. So I think those kinds of things work better for it. How do you guys feel about it?
I tend to agree.
I mainly played the melee heroes, so the cast point was not.
Oh yeah, you don't really have
point of my
cast
kit,
points on
so-
those kind of things, yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't experience it.
I
as
played
much.
quite. Well, I was the Lena player. I played quite a lot of Lena, and some of the stuff feels a little clunky because of the cast points. Yeah, I think having cast points on stuff in general is fine. I think it's just they need to be like tuned a little lower so that things feel a bit faster. Alright, next point then? Or has anyone else got anything to say more on cast points? Or shall we move on?
I just
I'm-
don't like them. You said you wanted to tune more lower. Personally, I just don't like them. I don't think they're very fun or interesting. So that's my feeling.
I think in general lower is better, or maybe having none and having some on like a spell by spell basis.
I mean, technically, the right click of Blade Master is also a cast point, but that one does feel good because there's a really satisfying animation
Yes.
that goes before
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So I feel
that's-
like cast points need to go in tune with nice animation and something that really makes the cast point hit.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
It needs to be on a spell where it feels good for hitting, not just a spell where it feels bad for missing. We'll get more into that later, but yeah. Like, if it's a skill shot, like Windrunner, well, I think Windrunner has cast points on her, like, right-click and shit. That's okay. I mean, the
Yeah,
issue
that's
I have with that is it does so little damage, but we'll get into that in the
Yeah,
hero
we'll get
discussion.
Or maybe,
Windrunner.
or maybe it wouldn't be good to have a movement command and an offensive/defensive command on the same operation. I wouldn't want to have like a Blaze Master's right click of like smacking down and the same operation of casting my movement in that direction, unless I'm supposed to be offensive, aggressive, and melee range.
I have no idea what you
I
mean,
don't
Cougar.
know what you are talking about at all.
All right.
Can
Well,
you not-
if you
Like, rephrase it.
if you're Lena was the one that shot at the fire beams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had her dash on a cast point.
No.
No, it's
Well,
instant.
it's instant. Yeah, feels pretty good actually.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that like I have to aim in a direction to. I have to aim with my mouse in a direction to attack, and then I have to aim in a different direction to move away.
Oh, you're saying it's
Because
yeah,
those are two
yeah,
different
yeah. You aim
concepts.
with the mouse
Yes.
for the
yes.
movement abilities.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't really have much trouble with that personally, but I can see why that would be annoying
Yeah.
for you guys.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
took me
have
a
an
bit
issue
to
with
get
that.
used to.
I didn't have an issue with that because my movement was mainly offensive, so my mouse didn't move as much around the screen, or it didn't move around the screen for a different purpose of like moving out and moving in.
Anyway, right, yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. So
I
this
think
is
the
big
game.
one, Charlie.
I was going to do a different one.
Oh, okay. Go on.
I think
All right.
there's quite a lot of bugs, and a lot of them seem really easy to find. I found some of them really easily, so sometimes it makes it feel like, especially when a new patch comes out, like there wasn't that much testing to see. Oh, okay, did the fix I just made actually break it? Like for instance with Jug, or Blade Master, sorry. When he got fixed so that his stuff actually happened on his Blade Vortex now, like within a minute of me testing it, I found that it was broken already, because if you stand next to the Blade Vortex and you cast Inspire, you just
You
immediately
always
get 3 stacks.
Yeah.
and that's really easy to discover. And there's just a couple of things like that which feel really easy to find. So yeah, sometimes the game does feel a bit buggy.
Yeah, I think a part of that is just the nature of it being a Dota 2 mod, where like this happened multiple times while we've been playing. Is Dota 2 would update and something in the game would break.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I feel like it would definitely be nice if a fix for a hero comes out and there's not immediately some bugs really easy to
Yeah,
find.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the big one at the end, I think, at the end
Okay.
of this section.
In a similar vein to that, well, sort of a similar vein, in terms of like overall quality, some of the descriptions for spells and debuffs, sometimes you hover over a debuff and it just says Dota 2 debuff.
Yep.
Uh,
And the descriptions for spells,
yeah.
sometimes the wording isn't quite right, or the grammar's off, or it
Yeah.
refers to Paladin when there's no hero called Paladin.
Yeah, like all of Nerif's say Paladin, all of Nightblade's abilities say
Not Nerif,
Rogue.
Nosons.
Noson's, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
All of Noson's abilities say Paladin. All of Nightblade's abilities say Rogue.
Or Blademaster's Inspire, after the change to it, it still says
Yeah,
he inspires nearby allies and also grants fighting spirit. But all it does is grant fighting spirit now. It doesn't inspire
Yeah.
nearby, it just grants fighting spirit. So the wording's kind of weird and feels a bit outdated. And then at the
Yeah.
bottom, where it says like the details, like numbers wise, it still says 30% damage amp and 5-second duration. When it's
Yeah.
never done that. So that's there's a lot of examples of that kind of thing in the game, definitely. And it's not like it doesn't feel like that big of an issue. I mean, we can easily look past it and just have fun playing the game.
Hmm.
But it feels like a bit of a shame sometimes because it removes some of that quality.
Yeah, it hurts the game's overall quality.
Yeah,
It's not like a massive deal. It's just
I
things that up.
it bothers
it's-
me quite a bit.
yeah.
But it annoys me particularly because like a lot of the design of the game is really good and high quality. So when there's a weird description that doesn't really work,
Kind of
it
stands
sours
out.
that a little bit. Yeah, it stands
Yeah.
out.
Also,
Right, so
the information about the game and about stuff that's happening with the game is pretty inconsistent across all the different platforms where you can get info. Like
Yeah, definitely.
the website, the Discord, and in-game. I don't remember what it was.
they'll
but
all
we were
show
looking for
different
something,
things.
And they all said
I know
something
exactly
different.
what it is. So, like, one example quickly is the event thing, the fastest impossible time.
Yeah.
On some of the stuff, it still says fastest hard mode time, even though it got changed to be
Yeah.
impossible. And some of the others, it didn't. And one thing that was a bit awkward was it said between the 3rd and 19th of September, and there was a timer in the top right, but it was showing a different time for us and for Symbol's in Belgium, and we're in the UK. And it was showing a different time on the website for us. Correct?
Yeah, when
Symbol?
we were
Yeah.
playing,
Yeah.
the timer was still counting, but when I did the maths and checked the time zones, it had actually already passed, which was a bit confusing.
But it was showing a different time for you, wasn't it? It was showing like 1 hour
Yeah, your
different.
hours was
Yeah, the
time on the
countdown.
website was-
Yeah, the
The
countdown,
countdown
yeah.
was an hour.
It was like
behind
6
ours.
hours left, and you guys were at 7 hours left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a bit weird. And also the example JD was referencing is, I remember reading somewhere that the top 3 hit people in the
Hall of Fame
Hall
thing,
of,
yeah.
in the top 3 people in Impossible would be added to the Hall of Fame, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I went to the very homepage of bossbattles.co, and it's there and nowhere else. Top 3 teams added to the Hall of Fame at the end of the season. Like, it's only referenced there, and everything else doesn't mention it.
Yeah, I never saw that. The first time I heard of that was you mentioning it, and then we spent ages trying to find it. We couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes the sources of information on Discord or on the website or on the mod in game are differing,
Yeah.
which makes it a bit awkward sometimes.
Okay, shall we go? Oh, yeah, sorry, Coops.
No, I didn't experience it as much because I didn't really go that in depth into the competition. I focused more on the gameplay. That's why I'm not saying anything about the information flow and questions on the server.
All right, shall we go to the big two then?
Oh yes.
All right, let's start with. Well, actually, Charlie, which one did you want to end on? Mana.
Yeah, let's
So let's
let's
go.
end on that one.
Okay, so let's go Tinker. This, even though this is kind of an overall raid thing, this was a. Well, this was. The reason I put this in general is because this was our experience doing the event, winning the event. There was a point at the very end when we were on Tinker Impossible where we got through intermission 1, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I know that me and Charlie, after that point had happened, we knew that we had won.
Yeah.
Because the Tinker fight is designed kind of strangely, and the difficulty curve of the raid overall is a bit weird because of it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get more into that on the Tinker specific discussion.
We'll go more in detail on that on the Tinker
But
discussion.
yeah, I don't know how much we want to tackle now. Should we just leave it at that and then talk more in depth about Tinker later then?
Yeah.
I just want to say that the difficulty curve of every stage of that fight was all over the place and sometimes based on RNG.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go more into
Yeah,
that.
we'll get into it more later.
Yeah, so the big general design con for me, and it's something I've thought a lot about and I had to think a lot about it, and JD helped me come to my own eventual conclusion on this, and that's that the situation with Mana and Akasha in boss battles desperately needs to change, because Akasha is so strong in her current form, and she's so buffed by the other characters that are also good, that any other healer would have to be insanely good, in other words, overpowered, to actually be worth running over her.
Yeah.
So, Akasha is a hero that does the highest damage of any healer, and the most healing over time, because she can heal based on her damage as long as she's got marks on people, which is really easy to do. And she does the best panic healing, because as long as she's stored up mana, she can just panic heal massively. And all of the other characters that are good help her do all of those things. So Templar gives her mana regen based on Spirit Link, and Blade Master gives her Fighting Spirit, which gives her more mana regen. So it's not just that Akasha is OP, it's that all of the other characters help her be OP.
Yeah.
So something needs to change there, because at the moment, the only comp that is synergistic that you can actually make is an Akasha mana comp.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
there's nothing else that really complements each other. So with an Akasha mana comp, you got Akasha needs loads of mana to be able to keep healing and do loads of damage. She just does lose damage anyway, but she needs loads of mana to keep healing. So Templar is great for that, because she gives her personally mana based on Spirit Link. And then Templar is really good because Akasha gets healed. Akasha heals Templar loads just because she has loads of spare mana from Templar. And then Blade Master fills in really nicely as well, because Blade Master gives a Templar health and mana, and gives a Kasha mana, and Kasha really needs mana. So all of these characters work really well together, and I think that's a great thing. That's really fun, and it was really fun making that comp.
Yeah.
But the issue is that that's the only comp that works. No other comp is synergistic in any way. There's no, we'll pick this hero, and that'll work really well because now we can CDR, like cooldown reduction, on Nosons, and make him heal loads.
Yeah.
Or, we'll get this cast point speed team that adds loads of projectile speed and loads of cast point reduction, and then we'll really min-max Windrunner based on that because she can fire really fast. You can't do that. Like, none of those synergize. There's only mana to synergize with. So, mana is way too OP at the moment in boss battles, and I don't want it to be straight up removed because it's the only interesting comp you can build. So I'd like that to be less powerful. That definitely needs to be the case. And I'd also like there to be other options for synergistic comps.
Yeah.
That was my rant because I thought a lot about it.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
What do you guys feel?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much my thoughts as well because we spoke a lot about this.
Yeah.
So those are our thoughts, I guess.
I agree too.
Any other comp that you might test out does not feel as strong or as united as the comp that
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
Exactly.
which means that they exist, but they are underwhelming.
Yeah. Like, you
Yeah.
can have a Nightblade, but she's not adding anything to any comp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just bringing damage.
She just kind of does damage on her own.
But then you have you add like a Templar to your comp, and that changes the whole comp dynamic. It's great. Like, he needs more health because he life taps, and then he gives back in all these other ways. That's really great. I love that. So I want more of that, and I want less of how strong that comp is. Because any other
Yeah.
comp is just strictly not only strictly worse, but strictly less interesting.
Okay.
I agree.
That's pretty much it for our cons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't really got much else to say overall. Game's
Did
pretty
anyone
good.
else? Yeah. Anyone else want to add anything?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Let's go on to possibly the most controversial subject of this talk. The left click bug.
Yeah. So
The most inconsistent bug in the game.
essentially, there's a weird bug that you can do where if you triple click and then hold, your auto attack goes faster for some reason. On most characters, it's not that big of a deal. It just lets you do some slightly faster auto attacks. But some characters, it can be really fast, like Blade Master.
Yeah, Blade Master attacks like almost twice as fast, right?
I can actually say something about that. The actual right clicking on Blade Master was very annoying because you want to hit someone a bit, like you use your right click, then you hit them for like 3 times, then you use your right click, and then 3 times hitting as well, which basically means that I'm clicking so much because for every right click that I do, I have to triple left click to
Can you not
attack
just
faster
keep holding
again.
it? Because
Yeah,
when I was playing him, you can just keep holding him and just right click whenever
yeah,
you want.
Symbol. You don't lose it until you stop holding left click.
See, I didn't know that.
I mean, how could you? It's a bug. It's
Yeah.
not meant to work.
I mean, it's clearly unintentional because
Mhm.
it's completely busted, especially on Lena. The Lena one is bizarre. I'll get into it more in the Lena section because it's so different from all the other left click bugs that it's like you access it in the same way, but it's completely unlike any of the other left click bug things that happen.
Yeah, I'll make sure there's a more detailed bug report in the bug report section, so that this can be fixed because it's it's kind of a weird and annoying bug.
It's not very
We
fun to do.
Yeah, we played around it a little bit because it lets you attack slightly faster. But generally, it's just not. It doesn't make the game any better. Sometimes a game will have a bug, which is like a little bit of extra execution, and gives you a little bit of extra payout, and it ends up being really fun, and people just like integrate it into the gameplay.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say this is one of those bugs
I
because
do not want this integrated into the gameplay.
yeah, it's just annoying. It's just annoying
Yeah.
to have to triple click, and then the only payout you get is your basic attack, which is meant to be the most basic of things.
It's no
It's
longer
slightly-
basic.
Yeah, it's not basic anymore. Basic
Yeah.
attack should stay basic. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll make sure there's a bug report for that.
Yeah.
So
What are
I
your
can
guys'
go fix
thoughts on the left click bug? I don't think I've actually heard
I
you or
I-
Simple talk about it.
I don't like it because it makes what you said, the normal attack, complex for Templar, especially in a sense that I want to put extra. So the way the left click bug works for Templar is that I don't have an attack speed buff. One of every third auto attack is getting squeezed in between the animation time, which I don't know how that's supposed to happen, but then it makes me want to like stop use one of my abilities after I've done that. But then I pay way too much attention to that. It feels
Alright.
out of place.
Yeah, it also
Yeah.
changes how much mana you spend with that character.
Yes. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
you spend mana when you
you
double
spend
click.
mana on left click.
Yeah.
I
that's,
didn't enjoy it very much, but I didn't know that I could just hold it down. But even then, it's just an annoying extra thing that you do. It doesn't really require any skill. You just triple left click and hold, and you just keep holding it, even though you're using different abilities. Apparently, it's
Yeah.
either make them attack faster or remove the bug.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really hold it against the dev too much because I haven't reported the bug yet. So, yeah. But it should definitely be fixed.
yeah. I want it known, especially that me, JD, the Lena player, wants it gone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You'll get into why that's significant later, I guess.
Why don't you just talk about it now? Because it's the bug for Lena.
Well, we're going to
Well,
go
let's
to the
go
heroes
with-
Yeah, we're
anyway
gonna
right
go-
now. So
Yeah, but I
let's
think
start with Lena.
this is the bug discussion thing, so I think you should just
Well,
say
okay.
whatever the bug is now and then get into your wider
If-
opinions on Lena.
Okay. Yeah, alright. So we'll do bug discussion.
just do it now.
And
Just do it right now.
transition into Lena.
Yeah, just do it right now. Just start
Okay.
talking.
Okay. So the left click bug with Lena, it's quite bizarre. Really something to behold. Triple left click, and it places your laser invisibly, and then you can just walk around and do whatever you want, and that laser will still be going from between where you clicked and where you are now, and you can do whatever you want. The laser has unlimited range. You're not slowed down at all. You're not locked into any kind of animation or anything. You can cast other spells while the invisible beam is going on. It's
It essentially seems to just leave the source of the beam at where the end of the beam was when you did it,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
and then
And
you're no longer locked into the animation. You can run around, do whatever you want, do spells, but the beam is still going on invisibly between
Yes.
that original point and where you are now.
yeah.
So it's really weird and buggy.
It's incredibly weird and buggy, but actually kind of fun after a while. We only found out about the bug the day of the winning.
It
which
was when
also
it was when the patch came out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the patch came out. We checked it out for a bit. We found this left click bug, which Charlie found the left click bug, and then we tried it out on all the characters. And initially, I didn't think it did anything for Lena, and then I noticed that I could walk. Like I was still damaging the dummies, and I could walk as far away from the dummies as I wanted, as long as the dummies were in between me and the end of where the beam should have been. I was damaging them, but it's actually. It ends up being pretty fun to play as like a Searing Bond totem style character. So I'd really like it if maybe like a balanced version of that made it into the game somehow. Because usually...
Of like a Searing Bond type
a
character.
Searing Bond type character. Because
I'm assuming you'll know what Searing Bond is, Mr. Dev, because
you played
you made
PoE.
Templar.
Yeah, you played PoE, you know what Searing Bond is. Yeah, I thought it ended up being pretty fun. It was completely different to how you normally play Lena. but
It let you
kind of
actually
fun.
use your other spells without feeling bad about it.
Yes. Okay. So we'll move on to the character discussion stuff. So Lena, even without the left click bug, I still think she's probably one of the best DPS characters in the game. Like pure. Well, she's not even really a pure DPS character. She's like
She's the highest DPS character.
she's the highest. Is she?
Yes.
It's. I guess she is. Yeah.
Maybe not
Uh,
literally the highest, but
It's
she's
between her and Templar
Mm-hmm.
yeah
in terms of actual like practical amounts of
highest
damage done.
DPS. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So the left click, it's actually really fun to use, like non-bugged. The actual left click, having to think about your positioning, trying to get like stacked AOE situations, like getting all the ads on Timbersaw in a line and then AOEing all of them down, or positioning yourself properly on Beastmaster so you can kill him and the bear and maybe the bird at the same time or whatever. That's pretty fun. I really like that. Shield, amazing. Why does this character have a shield? It really does.
I mean, I'm happy that the character has a
I'm-
shield.
I'm
I don't
really
want the
happy.
character to lose a shield because I feel like more of the characters should have stuff like that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I think shielding is probably the best type of like support in the game, because it's way better than healing because you just don't take any damage. It's useful for everyone. Most of the shields last a really long time as well, so it's not like you ever time out your shields before you take damage. So you almost always get great value out of the shield, especially Lena's, because Lena's does damage while it's up. So, you put like a shield on, I don't know, like a Templar or something, and you're doing a little bit extra damage and keeping Templar alive until the shield is gone.
And it
That's
can take the
really good.
life tab for him.
And it takes life tap, yeah.
Yeah.
The Remnant is super fun. I really love the Remnant. Because it basically gives you, well, you can choose. You can choose what you want it to do. You can use it for so much stuff. You can have like super high uptime on the boss. If you have to like, I don't know, run off and kill ads or something, you can just leave a Remnant on the boss. Or like on techies, if you just leave your Remnant there and then walk around and clear some mines, maybe die. You can use it for burst. You can just do like Remnant right click, left click. That's pretty high burst damage. You can use that for ads. It's really good for being safe because you can... I'm not sure if this is really how this is supposed to be designed, but on Clockwork, you can just never go in cogs and put a Remnant in there. And
I mean, no one ever has to go in cogs.
yeah,
Yeah.
no one ever has to go in cogs, but like Lena, you can still do decent damage on Clockwork during cogs while being completely safe. Her E.
Oh boy.
Good lord. This ability is dog. It's I don't really understand the design behind it, because while you're channeling it, you lose all your stacks on your left click, and it does less
Which are your
damage.
main damage.
Yeah, which is your main damage. You ramp up, you want to try and be at 3 stacks for as long as possible, and then you press this one spell, and you lose them all, and you're doing less damage than if you had just kept holding down left click. So, yeah, I didn't really use this spell at all until the left click bug came in, because then you can, use your beam and E at the same time. So it's just free damage. But yeah, I think this
It also
spell...
feels really awful to use.
It feels really awful to use because you can only stop channeling by casting other spells. Except left click, I think. I didn't really...
Yeah.
You
You
can't left click out of it, as far as I
You can't left click
know.
out of it, but you can cancel it with like Q and space.
And right click.
And right click, yeah. Yeah, you can cancel it, I think, with anything except left click. But yeah, I think
It would be
this
nicer if
spell-
you could cancel at any time.
Yeah, also you can't be gripped during it.
Yeah, that's annoying.
So
I mean,
you can
that's a
waste-
known issue where you can't grip people.
Yeah.
Oh, can't grip Lena while she's doing stuff, but it is annoying.
Yeah.
And also, just the projectiles, it just don't feel good.
Yeah, overall the
Yes.
spell just doesn't feel that great. I'd like it to get looked at, maybe reworked or changed into something else. I'm not really sure. I mean, it's up to It's up to the dev. But yeah, that spell, not great.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I know I didn't play Lena that much, but personally, I would say that it needs a complete redesign because it doesn't feel good to use. It doesn't fit into a kit at all,
Yes,
and actually, those are the only two things. Yeah.
it has complete anti-synergy with everything else you do,
Yes.
which is just... And the payoff is 0. Like, if it was like some huge fucking nuke, like a pyroblast or something, I would understand. It would be like, you...
Channel for ages, and then you
Channel
lose
for
some
ages.
massive projectile that
Yeah.
does mega damage.
Yeah, you channel for ages, you save up some mana, and then you like right-click E, and that's like massive burst or whatever. But it's not. You right-click E, and you've just wasted like, like
All of your stacks.
all of your stacks, all of everything.
And it
That's
turns
like a
out all of
minute.
the projectiles just hit into an invincible gyrocopter ad anyway.
Yeah, yeah, that happened quite a few times. But yeah. Also, she's...
Bad spell. I hope it gets redesigned.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that redesigned. She has quite a weird kit overall as a straight DPS, since with the shield, she kind of feels more like a hybrid, because you can kind of just go around, do whatever mechanics need to be done, whether it's like ads, mind clearing, placing acid pools or whatever. You can go off and do all of that and shield people, and still be really useful without doing like mega deeps.
Yeah, well, I have an opinion on that. I personally, I don't think that's a problem. I think all of the damaged characters should have something they bring to a team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because any character that doesn't bring something to a team just feels bad.
Yes.
Like Nightblade
That's
doesn't
true,
bring
yeah.
anything other than the ability to clear techies' minds.
I guess
So
in terms of those categories, Nightblade is the only really pure DPS character.
yeah, like Templar and Lena, one of them brings a barrier, and the other brings the spirit. What's it called? Spirit Link. Those are
Yeah.
both really fun, good utility abilities. Obviously, Templars is more interesting, but yeah, I feel like all of the characters should have something like that, or at least if they don't, they should bring something to work around. Like Templar, if he didn't have Spirit Link, I reckon it'd still be good because he still has massive deeps and good mobility, and that's really valuable.
Yeah.
And really good burst as well. He brings all of those. So, yeah, I know this is going a little bit off the topic of Lena, but yeah, it is kind of a strange kit, I think, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it for Lena, so we can move on.
The
to
dash
next.
feels good with Lena too.
The dash feels really good with Lena, yeah. I'd like all the dash or blinks or whatever to feel like Lena's.
Also, I feel like the general design, I feel like it would be more cool if they lent more into the Remnant, because I think the Remnant's a really cool idea and it has a lot of
Yeah.
potential, but I don't think it quite meets its potential. It's like really cool, but it doesn't quite meet it because all it really does is do your left click. You can make it do your E, but that's just bad.
As of right now, yeah. With current Lena, Remnant is essentially just a Scorching Ray totem that you put down, which is cool,
And you can min-max it in really awesome ways.
and you can min-max it in really cool ways, yeah. But yeah, there's some potential there for the Remnant to do some really cool stuff that it doesn't do right now. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. Let's go to Riley. Charlie, I think you played Riley more than I did.
Yeah, okay, so she seems pretty fair. She seems like a pretty fair hero. She's quite fun to play. I like her. And I like her kit. I think in general she's a pretty well designed hero. I like her. Couple of points though. The cast point on the blink feels really bad. I really wish it was instant. That would feel great if it was instant.
Yeah.
Because at the moment you kind of have to, if say you want to dodge the Beastmaster rooting axe, the axe he throws at you, the roots you. If you want to dodge that, you have to do your blink before he throws it.
yeah.
Otherwise, you won't blink it. It's just feels a bit annoying to use, and it feels like a little bit of a shame because if it was instant, she wouldn't suddenly jump up and be OP. it would just feel a lot better to use. So yeah, cast point on Blink doesn't feel that great. And also, obviously, we didn't play her in our comp, but that's not because she's not good. She's definitely really good. Her damage is fair, and she brings a fairly solid amount of utility. The issue that made us not bring her is that her damage isn't top tier, and then the utility that she brings isn't that useful in this raid. So
Yeah.
she can bring Ice Block, which is a good ability, but it's not that good because it stops that person from doing anything. So you lose loads of
Yeah.
uptime.
Our best
And-
case scenario for it was on Gyro, which is the first boss, and he's pretty easy.
Yeah, so you can use it when someone's being stunned by Gyro, and then you don't have to soak. Or you can use it to clear mines on techies,
Yeah.
but neither of those feel that great. And there are better solutions. Like Akasha gripping is way better for Gyro. Then you don't have to have anyone lose any uptime or whatever.
Well,
It's not
one
so.
guy loses. Wait.
Well, yeah, one guy still gets stunned, but yeah, it's not so bad. So yeah, the ice block doesn't come in handy as often as you might want. And then being able to freeze ads is a really powerful ability.
Yep.
But again, that's not that useful in this raid because there's a couple of situations where it is useful. There's Beastmaster, where you want to freeze the bird, but it's my opinion that it's way better to just burst down the bird with damage than it is to freeze it.
Yeah.
And the other situation that it's good for is Tinker freezing the miners, the miner ads that slowly walk in. Freezing those means they're not spending as much time losing the crystal mana, which is really good and useful. But that fight's pretty easy in general, so you really don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rylai, strong hero, really fun to play. There's a little bit of min-maxing you can do in terms of Bone Chill and Shatters and Frost Strike timings, which is really fun. But her kit isn't useful enough in this particular raid to warrant bringing her over a higher damage hero. Does anyone else
Yeah.
have thoughts on that?
I played a bit at first when you were showing me the game because I was like getting to know some of the characters and what they do. It really feels like it's annoying to have two AoE spells on one character because it sort of makes it into one, unless you have those specific specific scenarios where you want to freeze, like the bird or the miner, someone fights. But otherwise, you want to use both of their AoEs together. I felt, which is just the character missing spell, really.
I'm not sure I agree with that, because they do very different things.
They do, but for the purpose of this raid, it didn't feel like you had to separate the two spells, except for the instances of those two bosses.
Well, I think then the issue isn't so much that they do the same thing, because they do extremely different things.
But yes,
The issue is definitely that the Blizzard, the one that freezes ads, on fights where that doesn't matter, you just use it on cooldown and it does almost nothing.
Yeah.
So I really like the Frost Strike. I have no issues with that. It's the Blizzard, I think you'll agree with me here, Cubes, maybe. It's that the Blizzard, on fights where you don't need to freeze ads, it doesn't matter how you use it at all.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
I agree. And at times that you need to freeze ads, or rather just in a Blade Master fight, when you want to freeze the bird, you only want to freeze the bird if you messed up your pull position. Which in itself is not what the character brings to the table. It's more of a covering up for the mistakes of the player.
Yeah, you don't need
It's not.
you don't need to freeze the ad.
Yeah.
Like, the pools are more than enough to slow the ad, and then you'd rather just burst them, not freeze them. So yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
All right. Blade Master.
Master. This is Symbol, you mostly played Blade Master.
Yeah, Blade Master was an extremely fun. I really enjoyed the hero to play. I liked that I could choose between optimal DPS, like using right click only at max mana, or I could spend all the mana for like more burst, which in some situations was really useful to be able to burst someone down and then just build my mana up again.
Yeah, like the Beastmaster, the poison ads. That's
Yeah,
really
I
used.
could burst
Or-
someone down completely.
Yeah, or Tinker. Bursting the ads on that is really good as well.
Obviously, the as we talked about earlier, the shield extremely useful. An AOE shield that puts on everyone. We use that a ton to clear mines on techies.
It's one of the strongest abilities in the game. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Yes,
It's 200 damage shield on everyone near you. So fucking strong.
Yeah.
That's bigger than Lena's shield, and it goes in an AoE.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed the mana regen aura that I did, like giving everyone mana and combining that with the chakram ability to put it on them as like an amping of
the
that.
Blade Vortex.
The Blade Vortex, yeah, like it amps my Inspire. It was really fun. My biggest issue with the hero is that it's really hard to see who I'm exactly affecting with Inspire, meaning that like I
There's not
couldn't
any
always tell
feedback.
who was out of range at all.
Yeah, there's
was-
no feedback on whether you've hit someone with it or not.
Exactly. So there was no way for me to master being in range of everyone because I think if you hover over it, it shows you a range, but that's not something that I can really do during the fight because if I move over it, my camera goes all the way to the bottom of the arena if I hover over the ability. So
Yeah, maybe it would be nice if there was a visual effect showing like a stylized circle so you can see the roar of the aura of the Inspire when you cast it. That'd be nice.
yes.
Yeah.
Or like an animation on the person that has been affected by Inspire. One of the two. There was just no way of me really telling that at all.
Yeah. For me, Blade Master is extremely overpowered. He's the best character by far.
Yeah.
There isn't
yeah.
a single character that even comes close to how good he is, because he does good damage. It's not the best in the game, but it's good. And then has the best utility out of any other character. Not only does he give the best barrier, he also gives it to everyone, and then he also gives everyone health and mana, the only two resources in the entire game. It's absurdly strong.
Yeah. Also, his damage. The one standout thing for his damage, I agree that overall his damage is kind of just decent, but like Symbol was saying earlier, you have the choice between doing the optimal DPS or just spending all your mana. His burst on like ads and stuff is nuts.
Yep.
You can just delete like Beastmaster ads before they even do anything.
If we were lucky and the Beastmaster ads spawned near each other, I could literally just kill them and no one else had to care about them.
Yeah, that's
pretty
really,
sure
that's
you-
the best type of damage. In
Yeah, I'm
general,
pretty
is
sure you
burst.
can double right click and one auto attack, and that kills the Beastmaster ads. Which
Yeah,
you
it's-
think about it, that's like just above 1 second.
I don't even know if it is 1 second. That's like
That's-
really fast.
It's really fast. Yeah,
Yeah.
there would be
So-
times where Charlie would call out that ads have spawned, and then they'd be dead before Charlie was finished saying that they had spawned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely pretty absurd that the best utility character also has one of the best damage profiles in terms of burst. Obviously, his damage per minute isn't the best.
Yeah.
So that's
quite-
definitely one thing that holds him back a tiny, meager amount. But otherwise, he's just way too strong. And there's a couple of bugs with him that make him a bit better as well.
Yeah.
The Inspire, it doesn't work exactly how it says on the tooltip because it's meant to affect people that are near you or near your Blade Vortex. But if anyone's near your Blade Vortex, when you cast Inspire, they just instantly get 3 stacks of Fighting Spirit. Just whenever. That includes you. If you're Blade Master and you're near your Blade Vortex and you cast Inspire, you instantly get 3 stacks of Fighting Spirit, which is definitely a bug.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then it's similar, I think, with the barricade. I think the barricade one works as it should, where if you're near him, you get 1 fighting spirit. If you're near the blade vortex, you get 1, and if you're near both, you get 2, which is
Yeah.
how it should work in the first place. But here, I had a little think about this, and I do have a suggested change for Blade Master. I don't think the barricade ability should give Inspire. It should give Fighting Spirit. I think now that Inspire, all it does is give Fighting Spirit. It seems weird that that ability gives Fighting Spirit, and then his barricade gives you a barrier
Oh,
and also
yeah.
Fighting Spirit.
I never thought about that.
Um,
Inspire doesn't really. Inspire is just half of the barricade spell.
Yeah, it feels weird. So,
Yeah.
in line with him being way too OP at the moment, that is one suggested change I'd make. Make Barricade just give the barrier, and then make Inspire just give Fighting Spirit, and then adjust the Inspire so when you're near Blade Master, you get 1 stack. When you're near Blade Vortex, you get 1 stack, and if you're near both, you get 2. Then
Well,
there's some nice min-maxing you can do, where you can stack up on both, and everyone can get 2 stacks. That's a lot. That'd be a lot of fun, I think, and add a bit of nuance to them.
what you could do is, if Barricade no longer gives Inspire, you could keep the 3 stacks thing, but it's if you're near Blade Master and his Vortex, then the Inspire like resonates or something.
That's
And
pretty
everyone
much
gets
what I
3.
said, isn't it?
Oh, you said 2.
Yeah,
think
but
if you're
I
near-
think that's how it should work. I don't think getting 3 instantly is very balanced.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
I think it's already enough payoff to get 2, as long as you're near both.
You probably got 1 from earlier anyway.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
instantly getting max stacks, I think is
Oh yeah,
too
that's true.
strong.
And at the very start of the fight, you would just instantly get max stacks. And then
Which
just
is what
be
we
enough.
did.
Yeah, that is what we did. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much
So
it.
yeah, that's Blade Master.
Nightblade. General impressions. I think we all tried Nightblade out a little bit.
Yep.
I thought
yeah, go ahead.
overall she was really fun to play. Very fun to play, especially the space. The
Shadow step.
teleporting back shadow step, yeah. Yeah, the mobility felt really good. It was really fun. But I think she's just too selfish a character right now to really fit in any teams. She's fun on her own, but then you're like literally just on your own. You're just Nightblade
Yep.
on your own.
Yep. She's really fun to play. Her kit is solid, but she's too selfish, and that is a problem because you really want to bring characters that bring something to the team. And
Yeah.
one
We've
thing
only got
she
4
could
players.
bring, yeah, one thing she could bring would be a good damage profile, but she hasn't particularly got that because she can do burst, but it's after a little bit of weird ramp. She can do a bit of burst within a window after ramping. So her damage profile is really specific and not particularly useful. So when ads spawn on most fights, like Beastmaster, you want to kill them instantly. And you can't necessarily do that well with Nightblade.
It's hard to... Technically, she has a lot of like nuance to that because you can delay your
Assassinate.
your assassinate, yeah, until or delay your whatever the E is called. What's it called?
Venom.
Envenom. You can delay your envenom because you want to keep doing assassinates. Assassinates does loads of damage, but you can delay your envenom until you need to like burst stuff and then quickly do like envenom assassinate and then just like burst something down really quickly. But there's no timers or anything, so it's really hard to pre-plan for stuff.
And delaying that is also a big hit to her DPS.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got,
So it
like,
feels bad to do it. It doesn't feel good. Like I'm playing around the game. I'm planning. It feels just bad.
And the payoff isn't big enough, because even if you do that, she doesn't do the best burst in the game.
Yeah, someone else will just kill them instead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
you
so.
spend all this time thinking, like, agonizing over whether to uh, start your burst or not, and then like the ads come up, and you're like, yeah, now it's my time to burst the ads, and they're already dead.
Yeah, and the aura bot
Loadmaster.
goes over and
Yes,
insta-kills them.
yes, exactly. Loadmaster has just insta-killed all the ads. Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Uh,
Which makes me question her blink ability. I feel like maybe because of the raid itself, because of the bosses, it feels out of place because you don't really have enough damage to blink to an ad, kill it, and then blink back the boss.
Yeah.
yeah,
right
the most you can
now-
do with it is like go over to do something, like to get a barrier on Gyro or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, I think she's probably in a similar spot to Riley, where she's mostly fine,
Mm-hmm.
just not really her raid.
Yeah.
But I
Uh,
do think that her being too selfish is a bit of an issue, because with the low amount of players, you really want everyone to be contributing to the whole team.
yeah.
And Nightblade just does her own thing, doesn't really interact with any of her own teammates.
Yeah, and I think that's an especially big issue because, like, you look at Akasha, who's the best healer in terms of raw healing, but she also is great because she brings good damage for a healer.
Yeah.
So you want your heroes in this game to bring a good amount of stuff to feel good about bringing them, but you don't feel good about bringing Nightblade because she only brings damage, and it's not even the best damage that you could bring. It's not the best DP damage per minute, and it's not the best burst, and it's not the best mobility. She's fun to play, but she's just not good enough. And then one final point. It's really hard to see how much damage the bleeds are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was what I wrote down. When I was thinking about Nightblade, it's just it's because the damage of the bleeds are so tiny. It's very hard to see how much you're doing. Like as you're in the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that would be fixed without cluttering up the UI too much, because yeah, I don't know exactly how you'd fix that, but it's just one thing. It's hard to tell how much you're actually doing in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
When like you're playing Blade Master and you do your right click and you're like, oh fuck yeah, I did 340 damage. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No sins then.
Okay. I have the feedback for no sins.
Yeah, Charlie's our
Oh.
healer player, so he's got all the feedback for the healers.
Okay, so good stuff. His archetype as an aura-based character is dope. Love it. And I love the interaction between his auras and his judgment. Not only where he gets different effects based on what aura he's got active on the judgment, but also just the way it works, where when you use the judgment, you get to switch to a new aura instantly is great too. So you can use judgment as an ability to do some big effect because of what aura you've got, or you can use it if you desperately need to switch aura. That's great and really fun to do, and it feels like you can squeeze so much out of it, or a fair amount out of it at least. Where if you like go armor aura, use judgment to get the minus armor, and then everyone's doing more damage, and then you do damage aura, and then when you need to heal everyone a bit, you can go the regen aura. There's a fair bit of nuance to him, which feels good, and his design is great because he's quite simple as well. For new players, I think especially, if you needed desperately for someone to play healer, and none of you knew how to play, you could go Nosins, and you know he's got no resources to worry about. He just kind of does stuff whenever he wants. So yeah, that's the good stuff. And one last thing, the armor aura specifically is really awesome. I really like that design of giving everyone a damage reduction. It's the only real source of it in the entire game, so it's kind of unique. But in this raid, it's not that. Okay, it is useful pretty much always, but it's never necessary. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that he's not as useful as Akasha, because in, say, WoW, damage reductions are your bread and butter of any encounter. Like, any damage is coming in, which damage reductions are you using? In this, obviously, there's only 4 people, so you can't do that. But the amount of things that are really useful to use the armor aura on is fairly limited because there's very little bosses with scheduled raid damage. So on techies it's really good because you can clear mines and take massively reduced damage. But you can't say use it right before you know the boss is about to do a massive bit of raid damage to everyone that's unavoidable. In general, in boss battles, those two boss battles, you can avoid damage, and you should avoid the damage. So having the armor is less useful. That's just one thing I noticed.
Yeah.
As for cons, things I don't like about him, his auto attacks are shit. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
They don't do anything. It's just 70 damage every once in a while.
They're the coolest looking auto attacks with the least impact.
Yeah, every other character gets mana from their auto attacks, or they get mana spent on their auto attacks, or something like that. Nothing's just like, oh yeah, you might as well do them, because otherwise you're not doing anything. And its damage from them isn't that good. So, yeah, his auto attacks feel like they're missing something. And so one thing I think would be cool, just one suggestion would be maybe if he had cooldown reduction for his heal every time he auto-attacked. So like every time he auto-attacked, it would reduce the cooldown of his heal by 0.5 seconds, say. Or maybe less, I don't know. Some low amount, but just something so you feel like you're getting something out of your auto-attack. I think that would be good. And then the thing I really hate about him is his heal. His heal, you can miss it, man. You can miss it even though you clicked directly on someone because it's got a fucking cast point.
A visual
It's-
indicator would go a long way. For
It
that.
has a visual
It has
indicator.
a visual
Tubes.
indicator.
No, that's not the issue.
The
It's
issue is, it's got a cast point.
and people can run out of it.
It's
It's the perfect duration cast point
It's the perfect
where-
duration to walk out of it.
Yeah, it's short enough that you can't notice it in time, but it's long enough that you can easily miss because someone walks out of it. So you aim directly on someone, they start walking out of it, and then they notice that it's there, and then it goes off. So they just miss it.
Yeah.
Having a hero, having to get good at hitting your AoE heal isn't fun. This isn't like it's Ana in Overwatch, where it's a skill shot healer and everything about them is defined by skill shotting. That's a fun archetype. Missing your one AoE heal is not fun, especially when it's on a fucking 20-second cooldown.
I disagree. I think it's a brilliant thing to be able to mind games your own teammates to actually help them because they are not able to help themselves. I
Yeah,
think
fuck
it's a
me, man.
brilliant-
Having to tell people to stack up and then shout, please stack up, I need to heal you or I will miss.
I think Charlie just needs to get good.
No, but seriously, yeah,
That's
it
what I'm
feels
listening.
seriously though, it feels awful. So I'd definitely change that. Either remove the cast point or make it
Longer.
feel better and bigger. Not just have a little green AoE, but have like this massive holy light that everyone goes and stands in, and then it goes off and is a massive heal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For instance, I don't know if you've played Heroes of the Storm, but what I was thinking is Alex Straza's heal in Heroes of the Storm. You put an AoE on the floor, and it's a massive delay, and everyone has to go and get in it, and then it does a massive heal. Either that, or just removing the cast point, in my opinion. I would be more in favor of removing the cast point, and then having the CDR, the cooldown reduction on his auto attacks. That combined, I think, would be good. Because at the moment, the hero is really good. And he's easily good enough to bring to impossible difficulty.
His heal doesn't have charges though, does it?
Yes, it does. It
Yeah.
has 2 charges.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's easily good enough to bring to impossible. He's a good hero. But yeah, he doesn't... That one part of him, the healing with him, doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And
Healing with the healer doesn't feel good.
auto-attacking doesn't feel good either. So I'd like to see that changed in some way.
Alright. Akasha?
Okay, that's me.
Yeah,
So-
that's
Alright.
fine.
Akasha is if Blade Master didn't do so much, Akasha would be the best hero in the game. She has the highest healing of any healer in every profile, as in she does the most healing per minute, and she does the best burst healing, even better than Nerif, who I'm pretty sure that's meant to be his archetype, but we'll get more into him later. Yeah, so she does the most long-term healing, the best AoE, burst healing, and she does the highest damage out of any healer. Sometimes I could do almost as much damage as a Blade Master as Akasha, and that's owed down to her E, the thing that either gives an ally a shield or gives an enemy like this little damage amp explosion. That is a great and awesome ability, and it's really overpowered. So a lot of her damage can come from that, especially if you're min-maxing. So I obviously min-maxed her a lot, and got the most out of just putting marks on people, and then putting the E on the enemy to get loads of damage out. She's way too strong. She honestly feels like two heroes in one. I get that she's based on a Disc Priest, but the fact that she has the best panic heals as long as she has mana, and can heal heroes based on damage dealt, is too much, I think. And that's not even considering the fact that her E is one of the best shields. She can shield people, reset her stats. It's just too good. And even when she doesn't have someone giving her mana all the time, she's still really good. Her damage is great. Her healing's too good. I don't want to ramble too long about her. My suggested thing would be to really focus in on her being the deal damage to heal character. So I really like putting marks on people and then doing my damage and healing them through that. That's really good, and she does plenty of healing through that already. But the fact that she can panic heal by just spamming right clicks as long as she has the mana is way too good. And then finally, she has a grip. All of that is not even included in the fact she has a grip. Her grip is insanely good. It just nullifies at least one mechanic and can save people in other situations. It's really good. It feels great to use. I definitely don't want her. I definitely don't want to see the grip removed from the game. But in her current state, her kit is overloaded. She's got too much healing, too much damage, too much panic healing, too much healing over time, too much shielding, too much gripping. Yeah, she does everything, and she does everything the best.
Yeah, generally, during our raid fights and our practice and everything, our biggest concern was having you die on Akasha, because then you'd lose all your mana, and we would take a lot of damage. Or I mean, I take a lot of damage just in general because I'm not I'm not great at not taking damage. But it was very obvious when you had died, because everyone else just started dying.
Yeah, and I think the point to that is that we honestly started getting a bit lazy in terms of dodging stuff, because Akasha can fill in for you so much.
It's hard to die with an Akasha on full mana around.
Yeah.
Even against the Gyrocopter's hide mode, a new ability, I felt like that was supposed to be like a huge burst to the closest target.
Yeah, it's like you're clearly meant to be able to. Yeah, you're clearly meant to have to hide behind a pillar for it.
Yeah.
But Akasha can easily out-damage it, out-heal it, without even spending mana. She just spends one mana, and then does damage, and then it's out-healed. So
it probably also helped that we had a fuck ton of shields and barriers on everyone.
And damage resist.
Yeah.
But no, she can definitely solo heal someone that's being hit by the Gyrocopter hard mode thing.
I just want to say that because it sometimes felt like it did no damage, and I think that's unfair to say.
No, I don't think it's unfair at all. I think she's way too strong at that.
I mean, the laser sometimes looked like it did no damage, and that was due to the barriers as well.
Right, yeah, but I mean specifically, I'm talking about Akasha.
Mhm.
I was just using that as an example. Like, she can out heal that without even having to spend mana. So she's way too good at the moment. But she's really fun, and I really like playing her. And I wouldn't want to see her nerfed to the ground. But she's just so good that any new healer to be added would have to be overpowered to be worth picking over her.
Yeah, I don't think how powerful she is currently is good for the game.
No. Right. Should we go on
Anyway,
to
yeah.
Yes,
Windrunner.
definitely.
Alright, I tried out Windrunner for a while. I think you did as well, Symbol.
Yeah. Windrunner, like, I like the skill shots a lot. And it does feel good to play Windrunner until you start looking at your damage done.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed is that as soon as anyone picks Windrunner, all anyone looks at is how much damage she does.
Yes. Yeah.
But JD, you were really shit there, weren't you? I was min-maxing the most. I was doing everything, I swear.
Someone brought this down in our sheet, and I really feel like this just hits it home. The thing is that you can either do good damage, well, decent at best damage to do, but you have to be out of position, or you can be in position and do absolutely no damage.
Yeah, she thrives in a position that no other hero does, which is awesome, because she wants to be at the max range.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But the payoff is nothing. You don't do
Minimal.
good damage.
Yeah.
You can be at your max range to do less than Rylai amount of damage, or you can be in melee range with the rest of the fucking Aurabots and
Hit for
do
20.
fucking nothing.
Yeah. You can either do less than Riley and be out of position and probably die really soon because you're not near the rest of the team.
It feels
Or
like
you
it
can be in
needs.
melee range and do less than Akasha.
Yeah.
It feels like it needs.
Oh yeah, you
the
can easily
most
outdamage her as
accuracy
a caster, yeah.
for at least for board.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing she's got is the buff. The
Yes,
buff totem.
Tailwind.
Yeah.
Tailwind. It's insane. Actually insane.
It is.
It feels amazing.
It feels amazing for everyone except the Windrunner.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
honestly, it's an awesome buff. And it's really powerful, but the rest of her kit is so terrible that she's not worth bringing.
She's not even able to clear ads effectively.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
she
kind of can.
Every now and then, you can do 700 damage to any ad anywhere, which is really strong, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
It just that
Sometimes there are 2 ads.
that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the
Sometimes-
time there are 2 ads.
Yeah. It's just not as useful as it sounds, especially because of Blade Master.
Yeah, and having a ranged damage dealer isn't actually necessary on any fight in the raid.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a bad thing, but it means that her archetype isn't useful.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
in general her damage is too low. Her heal, we didn't even mention the heal because it's not worth mentioning.
No, the heal is worth
It's-
mentioning, I think.
I
The
think
heal
it's
is
good.
good,
Yeah.
but it
Really?
feels bad to use. Yeah, it's definitely
oh, yeah,
good.
Okay, yeah.
It feels bad to use because the hitbox is so stingy.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to it feels bad to miss it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels
It's like
bad to
the way
miss
it
it when
works
it
is fine.
grazes someone, especially.
Yeah, near misses happen a lot with the heal.
Mm. And it
But yeah,
feels
you're
like
right.
with the distance that she has from everything else in all of the fights, there's not even a point in having a mobility. Any mobility ability. At least it didn't feel like it for me.
Wait, what?
That movement speed when the
Oh, right, yeah.
when Tekis does the suicide jump, that doesn't even save me
No,
most of
yeah,
the time.
yeah.
It's so because it's so instant, it's so difficult to run out of it.
It's her mobility ability is very underwhelming. It doesn't really do a
Yeah.
whole lot.
It's
It could be
just-
really cool,
it's just
but
move speed.
yeah, it's just move speed. It doesn't increase your uptime or anything. You just move a bit faster
Yeah.
for a bit.
I mean, it fits the theme of the character.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
I think I think
Make
the
it
current-
last less long and make it more hit speed or something. I don't know. I don't
I
know
was
what I changed.
thinking. I was thinking maybe turn it into like a buff that you can maintain. Like
Yeah, that might be
You
cool.
can permanently be really fast.
Yeah, well, yeah. In terms of like overall, she may be one of the worst heroes in the game.
I think
Yes.
she's
Uh,
bottom two.
and most of what she does doesn't feel that good. So her auto attacks for that archetype, I feel like should do more damage. Her right click, for the amount of mana and time you spend doing it, doesn't pay out enough. Her heal has a bit too stingy of a hitbox. Her explosive shot
Yeah,
can
the
sometimes
minimum
feel a bit
range.
clunky because it has a minimum range. Maybe my suggestion for that would be to have it scale based on range like the rest of her abilities. So you're
Yeah.
rewarded for using it at long range, but you're not penalized for having to use it close. And then finally, her tailwind is insanely good. But I think that might be a problem because it gives everything. It's not something you can build around because it doesn't give specific buffs.
It gives
It
you
gives
everything all at
every
once.
buff you could want. It gives
Yeah.
damage, it gives attack speed, it gives move
speed.
speed. It gives every single buff you might want, which kind of makes it a little bit uninteresting, even though it's so powerful. I feel like making it more specific in what it gives would make her a lot more fun to build around.
Yeah.
Like, if it gave a
feels-
specific buff, it could be really interesting, and you could build a comp around it.
It feels like she's too fair of a character with all of her power in one ability. Like, if... Say you had, like, points, you could give different abilities points, and the points were how strong they were. And you had 10 points. She's, like, 1 point in everything, and the rest of the points in the totem.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's her, like, kit pie chart is almost entirely the tailwind.
Yeah.
Where most in a well-designed hero, you probably want each slice of the pie to be around the same size. So yeah, that's Windrunner.
Yeah, that's Windrunner. Templar. Coobs.
Oh, Templar. Incredible DPS.
Yep.
Like, I wouldn't be. I can destroy anything, basically. For a melee character, that's sort of understandable. It's
And the fact that he has a life tap.
yeah, and the fact that he buffs others with his auras.
Yeah,
I
the
think
Spirit
that
Link.
it shows.
Oh, and the discharge. Yeah, of course.
Yes, and the discharge, which can deal up to 1000 damage based on amount of stacks that I'm holding. Which also buffs everyone. Like, I feel like his kit is so
Overloaded.
overloaded that it's difficult to establish what exactly is he supposed to do or what's his identity. Which in this game mode, it doesn't feel like that's a bad thing.
No,
you
he's
don't
really
be-
fun to play, and he's really fun to have on your team as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
really
yeah.
does feel like a PoE character.
Yeah.
Run around, you destroy everything, hurts your hands.
Yeah.
The sustained damage is great. It's the discovery of the triple left click was sort of annoying because when you get the inspire from the Blade Master and the mana link, the mana link.
Spirit Link.
Yeah, Spirit Link. When you actually auto attack and your mana storms charges are about to run out, when you do not triple click, you have just enough mana to do triple mana storm and then life tap. But when you triple left click, you're actually below that, like just below that,
Yeah.
which feels really bad. It just like takes away from the amount DPS that you can do and makes it clunky to get that fried mana storm in. But his damage is amazing in all of his abilities, which is a bit weird, but whatever, I like it.
I think his like pie chart, going back to the pie chart thing, it's fairly well balanced because all of his abilities do a good amount of what he does.
Well,
Like his
Yes.
Spirit Link is good.
Is he fairly well balanced? Because if we use the points system I was imagining, he's like 10 points in everything.
No. I'm not talking about like overpowered or underpowered. I'm talking about
Oh, you just mean in relation to
his-
the other abilities.
abilities.
yeah, his
Yeah.
abilities relation to others are well balanced to each other because
Yeah.
each of them do a good amount of what he does. So even his auto attacks, they do good damage, good sustained damage. His leap is really good. He has great mobility.
Very
His
good
Spirit
for
Link
killing the
is
ads and chasing.
his Spirit Link is great utility for your team. That I love abilities like that where you can kind of think about how they work in the context of your whole team. Abilities like that are great.
Yeah.
His discharge is insanely good. Gives
Yeah.
everyone good burst because of the AoE damage amp. And then his mana storms do good damage and reward you for managing them well. The issue is everything he does, he's too good at.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
He's probably the
You
most
guys-
mobile hero in the game, right?
yes, yeah, I would say so. I think you could disagree with me on that, but his leap, the fact that he has 3 charges of that, is I feel like quite a lot in comparison to everything else that he has going on for him.
Yeah, I
Because
think I
you can
initially
jump towards the ad, kill it really quickly, go back to the boss, or even when you have just 3 charges of the leap, you can discharge and jump in place, which I feel like jumps were not meant to be stationary.
No,
That was a-
it says
that's
it explicitly in the ability. I'm
yeah,
pretty
it
sure.
explicitly says. By the way, you can just click on yourself and you won't even leap. You'll just get the effect.
Yeah.
But I don't think it really. I think it's kind of weird. I initially disagreed with you, Cubes, but I think he feels great to play, which is great. But he's too strong. Because why does he
Yes.
have so many leaps? He doesn't need
Yeah.
3 charges a leap. It's
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, he really doesn't. He doesn't need to be the highest burst, highest sustained damage, highest mobility, highest team. Well, not highest team player. That's Blade Master, but
And on top of that, the 40% or 30% damage reduction.
yeah, he's got mind
Oh,
over
yeah, yeah.
matter.
He's got Mind over Matter, yeah. Which makes him, not only is he the best damage dealer, he's the best tank.
Damage taker.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the best damage taker.
And the Spirit Link, I think it's a brilliant mechanic because you want both you and the person you connect to. As long as they're ranged, it's like fun sort of dance between you to stay
Yeah, you
within
actually
that
have to
range,
stay
but
together.
that person has to be safe.
Yeah, and the payoff is really good. And
Yeah,
it's really fun to build around as a
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, but the final thoughts is that his aura, wait, not aura, what do you call it? The 3 stacks that he gets,
The power charges.
yeah, the power charges. I'd like if maybe they would be on cooldown, not on cooldown, but there would be a timer to them, so they wouldn't just stay on you for the entire fight. Because
Yeah,
you
that might
can
make it
stay for
more
the entire
balanced.
duration of any fight on 3 power charges all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's optimal. You will do that.
Yeah,
It's not hard to do.
Yes, yeah,
It's extremely easy. But if I agree, if they had a duration on them, you might actually have to play around upkeeping them. The same way you
Yeah.
have to play around upkeeping your mana storms.
yeah, and I think like maybe managing 2 resources at the same time like that could be fun.
Yeah, I know. I think it would balance him a lot better.
But overall, that's it, and he supports others really well with the.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the
Discharge.
design. The design is amazing.
Yeah.
Just he's too good.
Alright,
All right.
Nerf. There you go.
Nerf fucking
Christ,
sucks.
Knuckles. He's so shit.
What is wrong with this hero?
I'd like to see why I'm putting that AoE mine or whatever it is because I can't see it ever. When
Short
I'm using-
delay.
Yeah, the short
delay
delay.
Of like 6 years.
He's okay. This is his archetype. He is the shit healing, shit damage character.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is. I don't think that's an archetype that should exist. Everything he does badly. He has bad numbers.
Yeah.
The amount he heals from is bad. The damage he does is bad, and then he has 0 depth as well. So even if you like playing underpowered characters and then trying to squeeze the most out of them,
There's
you
nothing
can't.
to squeeze.
Yeah, there's nothing to
Yeah.
squeeze. There's nothing there. You're just holding nothing in your hands. That's what he is. He doesn't do anything well. So yeah, in all seriousness, he's really bad. He's the worst hero in the game.
He's the worst hero in the game, but he seems perfectly set up to be
Yes.
the panic healer
Yes.
that
Yes.
Akasha is.
Yeah, that Akasha actually ends up being.
Yeah.
Like, if the bits about panic healing were removed from Akasha and put even better onto Nerif, Nerif would have a place in the game.
Yes.
yeah.
But as it stands, most of his abilities are underwhelming. They feel bad. The numbers on them are bad. I like the cast point on his heal. That actually feels kind of cool.
Yep.
And his apotheosis, having an ultimate. I love having
Yeah, that's
ultimates
pretty
in a
cool.
game like this.
Mhm.
That's awesome. I wouldn't want every character to have an ultimate, but the fact that he has one is dope. But it ends up just being shit. Because it's like you use the ultimate and you're doing the same as what Akasha can do, as long as she has mana. So
Yeah, Akasha's ultimate is having like 90 mana.
yeah, which isn't that hard with Akasha,
Yeah.
especially if you build your team around it. So yeah, he has nothing to build around in terms of his team either. He gives that little grace buff, which is really interesting, but doesn't do enough. It does extremely little. I think it's a 10% damage amp and mana regen on each auto attack, which is a cool mechanic. I like that bit, but it just doesn't do enough to be interesting. It's not like Spirit Link. Spirit Link gives a lot of shit in like big numbers, which is awesome. Grace. Actually, I don't even know if Grace does give a damage amp. I don't remember. It gives 1 armor as well. 1 armor. That's so little. It's like an insult, the amount of armor it gives.
Yeah.
So yeah, he feels really bad. He's definitely a bad hero, and if you wanted to tweak him, my suggestion would be give him the panic healing type stuff that Akasha has, and just remove the cooldown on his heal. Just make him have to play around
Oh.
mana in terms of healing. So if he wants to panic heal, he has to spend all his mana to do so, the same way Akasha does, but remove that from Akasha, you know? So if he didn't have a cooldown on his heal, his right clicks, I think he'd be a lot more interesting of a hero.
Yeah.
Like
as
swap
a-
the right clicks from Nerif and Akasha.
Yeah, exactly. So like you could make it you just directly swap them out. Like keep Akasha with her right click to give someone the to heal them a small amount and to give them a mark, but then don't make it stack up loads the same way it does on Akasha, and then give Nerif his first right click does small mana, small healing, and then the more you use it, the more mana it costs and the more healing it does. And then remove the cooldown. And then make him around, having to think about his mana, and then he can actually do good healing out of it. And yeah, his mine, the delay damage thing feels awful. It's a terrible ability.
Yeah.
It feels awful and it does like almost no damage. It feels really bad. I don't like that. So it feels like he's just missing kit.
Yeah, it's like 600 damage when all 5 ticks go off, and even the 5th tick doesn't go off in an AoE. It does it just on the spot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like it if the AoE maybe would be a bit bigger and definitely more damage. Or if you'd be able to ramp up the damage the more ticks the target has on them.
yeah.
And
I
then
would
you have to
definitely
try to work on maintaining that.
yeah. I'd definitely rethink a lot of things about him.
Yeah.
He needs a bit of work.
Yeah.
All right, that's all the heroes, right? We can
That
move
is
on
all the
because
heroes.
we've been here
Covered
for
all the
fucking
heroes.
ages.
Yeah, we're gonna do comp decisions, and I think we're gonna take a break and maybe split this up from.
Yeah, make it into
'cause
2 videos.
Make it into 2 videos because we've been going for we're over time now. We've been going
I
for
think
like
a
an
lot
hour
of the
and a
comp
half.
decisions is stuff we already talked about. So if we could just
Yeah.
Yes.
try not to say the same thing you said earlier, then we can breeze right over this.
Yeah,
I
we
think.
should be able to get through comp pretty quick. So here was my initial comp idea that I posted in Discord. I said I was using those two heroes.
Just use their actual names.
Yeah, I can't remember what their actual names are.
Akasha, Blade Master,
Yeah, so
Templar.
I said Akasha, Blademaster, Templar plus Asterisks is a comp I think could be really strong. Those three all work great together. They have great utility on top of good damage output. Last spot is wildcard for whatever we feel like we need. Rylai could be great for the utility, and with damage amp wouldn't fall too far behind. Maybe even Windrunner could work, although so far the extra range hasn't been much of a factor. That was my initial idea. We ended up going with Rylai because
No, we didn't. Lena.
yeah, sorry. We ended up going with Lena because Lena just kind of does everything Rylai does, but better in this raid.
Yeah, she does the best damage and gives a barrier, which is really
Yeah,
useful.
we came up with this comp before the bug as well. Post bug, I think Lena is in that spot for sure. She's just the most like flexible damage dealer
Yeah,
with the bug.
but yeah, okay. So yeah, in terms of the decision, that was we're certain that that comp is the best at this point. Akasha is the best healer by far, and when you add mana regen, she is even better. So the fact that she pairs well with Blade Master plus Templar is great. Templar's the highest damage character and gives the mana regen for Akasha. Excellent. Blade Master is the best hero in the game. He gives everything you'd ever want and burst down adds. So he's great. Gives the mana to Akasha and the healing to Templar and the melee. That's a great fit. And then Lena, great damage, gives a barrier. Definitely the one you would swap out the most if you needed to. We were planning on maybe swapping out for Rylai if we felt like we needed Rylai's kit more, but we didn't. So Lena's definitely the best bet. Her damage is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really synergistic comp, and that makes it really fun. So I really love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is the pretty much the only comp in the game that plays like a team. Obviously, you can switch Lena out for like Rylai, and they still play it as a team. It's just Rylai's a bit worse. But yeah, this is like a real team comp, whereas a lot of the other teams... What was the other comp? The other comp was actually alright. We tested it out, and it was alright.
It was Nosen's Nightblade, Windrunner, Blade Master.
Yeah.
That comp was alright.
Until someone played Windrunner.
Well, I mean, yeah, the person playing Windrunner is not having fun in that comp, but
Yeah.
I think we tested it out a bit, and we came to the conclusion that that comp probably could be impossible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely good, but it doesn't synergize.
Yeah.
None of it actually synergizes well. They're just fine heroes on their own, and then Windrunner's kind of just bad, but you know, it still works fine. So yeah, that comp works fine, but it's not got the synergy that our comp has, and that's why our comp is the best.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see our comp. I think is definitely overpowered. It's
Oh, easily.
yeah, it's too good for the
Easily.
raid.
I mean, we have three of the most overpowered characters in the game in our comp.
Yeah,
And the thing that makes it even worse is that the three most overpowered characters in the game work well together. They synergize with each other.
yeah, which is really fun. But the characters are too good all on their own, so combined they're way too good. So
Yeah.
I think in terms of in the future, I'd like to see more ways of making synergistic comps with different ways of min-maxing that aren't just min-maxing mana. At the moment, the only thing you can min-max in terms of comp is mana. So I'd like to see more ways of min-maxing other things and making other synergies. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
You
my
guys got
thoughts.
any final thoughts on comp?
Nope. Pretty much
No.
everything's been said that needs to be said.
Coops? What were you
No,
about to
no,
say?
I don't think so.
Cool. Right.
Well, then, no. Yeah, we're done.
We'll leave it
That
there.
was our
And we'll-
discussion on the characters in boss battles. We'll leave it there.
Yeah, and we'll do raid
Come back for
discussion.
raid discussion, yeah.
Yeah.